I believe that instead of focusing on SEO, search engine optimization, we actually should be focusing on HEO, human experience optimization, right?
It is. You're exactly right.
And so, all these big brands are basically teaching our consumers, our clients, our prospects, what to expect when they come online. And this thing in our brain, the brain stem, I call it the bodyguard, is in play at that time. And there are certain sites, there are certain shops or whatever where we walk in and we just feel at home. We feel understood. We feel safe.
Right.
And it's not something necessarily you can guess at. And so for the folks that listen, I've got business owners, I've got marketing directors, I've got students, these story brand guides. But here's our problem. You're running a business and you don't have time to dig deep into mountains of data to make an educated call. And so that scene that you were talking about where the guy comes in and just goes, I like the blue one, and he's out of there. He didn't have any backstory. He didn't and more than that, he doesn't have the time to really dig into that. But how does what you do really become legitimate? And so we take a stab at A/B testing, but to really get clarity on A/B testing, which is, so you're going to show A version, and then the next visitor is going to see the B version, and we're only measuring one little piece, and we're going to see which one's more effective over a period of time in a sampling, and then we're going to focus on another thing. Well, you know what that means? That means you have to have thousands of visits to get really good data, and guess what small business websites don't have?
They don't have. Yeah, they don't have that quantitative capability, basically. And so in that way, the only way that I've seen small businesses use quantitative really effectively that way is to be paying attention to the only times they touch something in their stack that actually makes the needle move enough, right? If you still look at that from a sheer stat sig perspective, you still might see things on occasion, typically things like calls to action, either in your headlines or your buttons or whatever. Those are the places that you're still going to see those seismic jolts, right? When you do something. And one of the things that's tough for those small businesses to understand is oftentimes the first few times you touch those things, those seismic jolts do not move this direction, right? They're not upwards. They dive. They take a big nosedive, right? And that's when people typically walk away from quantitative very quickly. They go, everything I did messed things up, right? And I understand that. What your consumer was telling you, though, and this is, I have to talk to big companies about this just as much as small companies, because everybody's really proud of how often they don't lose, right? But losses are actually the way that your consumer is at least telling you, this thing matters to me. This is very important to me. That's important knowledge to have. And it's an important button if you've got it, even as a small business, to kind of keep poking at, because one of those guesses is going to make that jump the other direction. And you've got to have the stomach to keep trying it if what you're looking to do is improve that way. But what you do have still is you've got qualitative, you've still got your consumer feedback. So you need to figure out then instead, how do I use those channels effectively with my consumers to engage them in a conversation? Not, you still can't, if you're approaching them in a relationship, you still can't approach them basically by saying, here's what I need from you. You need to engage them in conversation to say, what is it you need from me, basically, right? And that's the big difference in how you get qualitative to not only stay effective, but actually something that you continue to converse back and forth with your consumer about, so you hear them as to why they keep banging into walls. And that's how companies get to that more intuitive safer, I understand you space that you're talking about, basically.
Hey, thanks for watching these golden nuggets. And as a reward, I got another big fat golden nugget just for you. I wrote this book for you to help you get your act together online so you can grow your business better. You're searching, you want to learn. This is a great book. Grab the book, grow your business.
Amazing, right?